What a bizarre schedule since Sheldon Keefe took over. I think he's been out west three different times.
Yeah.
Started out in Arizona, and then they had the Western Canada trip, and then back out to Winnipeg, Minnesota. That's a wonky schedule. They must have a ton of home games coming up.
They do. And no back-to-backs.
Perfect.
The only thing left is California, which is now the easiest road trip in the NHL.
Hey, if they make some hay, they've done their part and got back into the thick of things here. If they run the table and have a great homestand, take care of that California trip, they'll be all set. They'll be all set.
Well, you guys on the quiz were talking about the Jack Adams and what Sheldon Keefe has to do to throw his name into that hat. And
well, let me ask you this. Here's the only thing you have to look at. Did Craig Berube win the Jack Adams last year?
No, but he got nominated.
Okay, maybe he gets nominated. Maybe he wins it. Who knows? If the turnaround is so spectacular, and you can't ignore the numbers. Every category since he's taken over, Mike Babcock is starting to look like a caveman behind the bench.
Oh, he looks worse every single game.
Every single game he looks worse.
Every quote, every game.
Yeah, every game it was just
smile.
dig in, you got to work harder, good things happen to good people. Really? Okay,
Yeah.
$6 million for that?
Well, that was another example last night. Babcock would have hated that game. And I don't think Keefe loved that game.
He would have hated that the skill guys were playing good and Nylander was dangling and scoring.
Yeah.
Dermott scores a goal from the goal line. He would have been like, oh, yeah, great goal, but you can't be doing that. That's not winning hockey.
Should have been a dump and chase.
Do you not think there was any merit, though, to some of that stuff? Like, do you think that's completely meritless?
No, there's merit to it.
Okay.
There's merit to still playing responsibly, working hard, digging in.
Obviously, there's certain elements to what he was saying that were true and that needs to happen, but it was just, I don't know. It's almost like when the attention got away from him and the players started having success, he more and more did not like it because his ego was so gigantic that it had to be about him and his systems and the way he wanted to play. And I don't know. He had a real difficult time giving anybody other than Zach Hyman any kind of props whatsoever.
I thought Hyman was great last night.
He was awesome.
He was
hunting the puck and getting pucks off the forecheck.
Yeah. He deserved love, but a lot of them deserve love.
He was right about him.
He was right about him.
He had that nailed.
But Bill Nylander is, I mean, you talk about a guy, a redemption tour. Now, we're in the midst of a perfect storm for him.
A ridiculous hot streak.
And he's tapping in pucks. But I'll give him credit because where he's scoring from.
Yeah,
Minnesota.
Around the net.
He's around the net.
Yeah.
He's in the danger area. He's in one of those,
not skate down the wall, turn up, look for somebody, float around the outside.
He's scoring in multiple ways. He's factoring in multiple ways, and he's putting up big numbers, and he's feeling it right now. And he and Tavares are connecting. And it really doesn't matter who's on their wing. There's been kind of a variety of players, although I think Kerfoot stepped in pretty well on the left side. But last night was a fun game. I mean, that's the one thing I expect. We'll see tomorrow night because the Islanders, they're not fun. They're just effective. Now, Adam Pelech is out for the rest of the season. That's a big hit for them on the back end. And Lou Lamoriello will join us in about an hour. But they're not a fun team. They're a team that is very well coached. They're going to try to win in a grinded-out, kind of tough, physical style. They'll try to push you to the outside, which is what we've seen against this team multiple times. So tomorrow night is going to be more than likely less of a kind of racetrack type of atmosphere. But as a fan, just sitting back watching, man, they are the most entertaining team going right now. Who's more entertaining than the Maple Leafs in the NHL right now?
Not in the last little while. It seems like they put up a 4 spot every night.
I think it's 9 in a row.
It is. Of 4 or more goals.
Which is nuts. But they look like, you know what I was thinking? Remember early in the season we were talking about like identity, and I remember like talking to Babcock about this, and he was like, well, the team has to decide what its identity was. And that never really sat right with me because I don't know what that totally meant. But now we know what they are. Like, you can see what they're supposed to be. And even talking to the players, like, they are like, we are a team that hangs onto the puck and we just, like, come at teams offensively. Like, we know what they are. And it kind of felt like for a couple years, even with the success that they had, we didn't really know what they were. Does that make sense?
Well, I think because of Babcock and we knew what he wanted.
Yes.
Like Babcock
but
would
it's
always,
like he wanted something,
right,
and it wasn't like totally who they were.
Yeah, because he told us the same thing, that the players will determine it, but no one believed that. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone,
yeah, because his vision of what that identity was.
He said
different.
The players will determine it, but they wouldn't because it was his way or the highway.
Exactly. It was you guys determine it based on what I'm telling you the determination should be.
But to his credit, when the playoffs did come around, they did change. Like that series against Boston last year, they played well.
Yeah, they were the better team through
Even
7
the
games.
Washington series, they played really well. So like it wasn't completely without merit.
The only
but
thing
you can
that's going to
see-
be interesting to track going forward is if when the offense dries up a little bit,
Yes.
can they battle and grind and stick it out through a 2-1 game? That's the only thing I'm interested to see. Everybody knows they can score goals. But sooner or later, and tomorrow night might be a great example, that offense, those opportunities might not be available.
Yeah.
The Islanders aren't going to be coughing up the puck and losing the puck behind the net and coughing it up in the slot like the Winnipeg Jets did last night. So how can they manufacture a victory when things aren't easy? When it's just might have to dump it in, you might have to go grind it out, you might have to do different things.
Well, you played against the Red Wings when they were like peak Red Wings.
Yeah.
What was it like when they would just like hang onto the puck and like not let you have it?
Well, I can remember skating around, chasing Fedorov, Larionov, Kozlov, and it was just like, these guys are so much better than me, and I have no chance of getting the puck. And I'm sure when the Maple Leafs have their heater lines on there and there's some stiffs running around trying to get the puck, there's that element where it's like Sergei Fedorov in his prime circling around in the neutral zone with Larionov and the other defensemen. It's just like,
Yeah,
what the hell am I...
Paul
think he's
Coffey
thinking-
waiting to jump into the play.
feathering it over to Lidstrom and then
Yeah.
back up to Fedorov and then over to Larionov. It's just like, I'm a stiff out here and I'm in the wrong league.
Yeah.
He's like, get out of the way, Jeff O'Neill.
Delayed penalty. Yzerman comes over the boards.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Then you dump it in the corner and try to get it back, and Chelios is in the corner waiting for you. It's like there's no chance.
Well, that's why that team was gross. I mean, that's what Detroit was, and you're not going to see that in the Cap era, like a team with that type of depth
No.
where you had like Robitaille and Brett Hull in the fourth line, like just plugging along to get a cup. You know, that's how good they were. Hasek came, he left, Cujo showed up, he had to go. It was gross. Like the amount of money they'd splash around, the amount of people that wanted to be a part of that. But yeah, I think you're right in terms of the identity with the Leafs, and I do think it's important to point out, and I said this yesterday multiple times, I'm having a blast watching them, but when we came into the season, I was not anticipating caring that much about games in October, November, December, January. Let's not lose sight. Like, it feels like a rookie season for them.
They put you in a position to want to care about it right now.
Because how they played.
That's right.
And
they were playing so poorly and they were losing so much ground. You're like, if they don't get it
Right.
together soon, it's game over.
Right. But in terms of the big picture, this season has still always been about what are you going to do differently in the playoffs.
Yeah, and there's also the element coming up of they're going to sag. This can't continue. You see the ups and downs throughout the season. They're going to have a dip. How they handle that dip is going to be imperative about what goes on here. Because if it gets out of control and they do what they did again, they just got to minimize damage and then get back on track, and they should be right where they want to be.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they've managed to do here. A 14-4-1 run. I mean, that's a great run.
In a small way, though, do you think that what happened at the start of the year could end up being better for them? Because, like, you look last year, and I talked to
It's already
Hyman.
better for them because the start of the year they got their the coach ultimately got fired, and I'm sure every single guy in that locker room, that's what they were desiring.
Okay, well, that's not what I meant, but okay.
Yeah, but attitude
fair enough.
matters.
Yeah, fair enough.
You're
Yeah.
around the team. I'm
Yeah.
sure they feel different today.
It is like night and day.
That's right.
It's way different.
Because they couldn't stand the other guy.
Yeah, they also got 100 points in back-to-back years, and they nearly beat Boston. Like, it wasn't like completely not working to the tune that's
Right.
being projected. But what I was going to say is, do you think it's better given what happened last year, where it kind of felt like because they were locked into a spot all year, they kind of maybe got a little complacent, whereas this year they're going to have to like fight the whole way.
Yeah,
Well,
they are.
I
Last
think
year,
there's-
complacent is an understatement. They were terrible from January 1 on, weren't they?
Yeah, but they knew. I mean, 2 years ago it was even more extreme.
Yeah.
2 years ago it was Tampa, Boston, Toronto by about November 1st. There was no one else within range, like no one else even close. Last year it got a bit dicey with
Yeah.
the Habs coming, and
It got real dicey. That could have flipped in a heartbeat. If there was another week left in the season, that
Yeah.
could have got real dicey.
they barely held on. Like Montreal finished, I think, 4 points behind them. Like it was pretty close at one point. I think what you notice here too is if you're scoreboard watching, which I think a lot of Maple Leaf fans are, the Leafs again they're on a 14-4-1 run. It doesn't feel like they've separated themselves at all from Tampa or Florida.
Well, because Tampa's coming now,
Tampa
too.
just wins every night, and
Bo-
Florida does too.
But Boston's kind of like wavering a little bit, and they got a bunch of road games and a tougher schedule.
And that's where the Sheldon Keefe conversation comes into play. If we want to get crazy here, and we're living in this like euphoria, holiday, honeymoon, everyone's in a good mood type of atmosphere right now in Toronto. And you should be, because of how the team is playing. It's been a while since we've been in this type of mood.